YouTube, what's going on? It's Richard, founder of STRU and Airbnb Superhost, and today I'm coming to you live from the Outer Banks of North Carolina where it's windy, so I apologize in advance. But I just got back from Cairns, Australia, where I was at the Tony Robbins Date with Destiny. Now, I'm going to give you my overview and my thoughts and my key takeaways from the Tony Robbins event, but this is not a sponsorship for Tony Robbins. He really inspires and motivates me. And the point of this video is to find somebody that inspires and motivates you, whoever that may be. If you find what I'm relaying to you from Tony Robbins inspirational, then go check him out. I'm doing him a disservice. I'm not trying to steal his content. I'm just merely trying to share and inspire people to find inspiration and education and mentorship somewhere, because he's really moved the needle for me. I'm hoping that I'm moving the needle for you, but I'm also encouraging you to find additional support, additional resources, and go bigger and further and find yourself. If you haven't been to the Tony Robbins thing and this resonates with you, I get no affiliate, no commission, I have no relationship, I've got nothing to do with it. I'm just sharing my personal experiences, and they were incredible. So let's get to it. For those of you who don't know, Date with Destiny is Tony's flagship product. It's what he says he loves the most. It's 6 full days. And when I say full days, it's like 9 in the morning until about 2 in the morning. And it was absolutely spectacular. There was about 2,500 to 3,000 people in Cairns, Australia, that flew from all over the world. I think there was 47 different countries there. I flew from the United States all the way over there, and primarily because it was a smaller venue. He actually does it in Florida as well, and I'll likely go to that in December. But I wanted to be in the smaller auditorium and feel the power and the energy, and it was super cool. The music was rocking and people were dancing, and like it was a nightclub, except everyone was totally sober and just high on excitement and positive energy and enthusiasm and growth. And like, I've never been in an auditorium or a stadium or a rock concert like that. I've been to many parties and people are drinking and doing drugs and like there's as much energy, but I've never been in that much energy and positivity completely sober with everyone else being completely sober too. So that was spectacular. And I would say the following. I'm a platinum member. I've invested nearly $150,000 for 12 months of travel and touring and going to these different events and different seminars and meeting different people. And I'm a platinum member, which is one of his highest levels of membership. But what that allows me to do is sit in like the second or third row, and everyone around me is a platinum member. So these are the hardest core, the most committed, the people that are looking for most growth, the biggest entrepreneurs. I've sat with NFL Super Bowl champions. I've sat with gold medalists. I've sat with billionaires. And so that proximity is power. And that's like my new family. That's my tribe. These are the people that I'm now interfacing with on Facebook on a daily level. And every time I go see them at a different event, we know each other and we're catching up. And so like I've created this opportunity in this family because of this Tony Robbins Platinum membership, and it's been spectacular for me personally. Tony is beyond impressive. He's been doing this for 42 years, and he's impacted the lives of millions of people, including at the highest levels of politicians, professional athletes, billionaires. I mean, he really knows what he's doing. He's got a great methodology and a great framework to help people understand what's been guiding their life and then change it. And so a few of the things that I would say is I watched him save lives, literally through intervention. I watched him save suicidal people's lives directly in front of me. I watched him save marriages, same thing, through intervention, save marriages in front of me. I watched him change lives, mine included, through his methods. Now, you may not be ready for that or interested in that, and that's okay, but just recognize that this stuff really works. Like live in person, it really changes people's lives, and that was super influential and had a huge impact on me. And I want to do my absolute best to impact and change your life for the better, however I can, through motivating you, through guiding you, through mentoring you, through education, whatever it may be that I can inspire you to take more action and live a more full, robust life. I'm committed to doing that. So in a nutshell, Tony is an absolute superstar, a rock star. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I just can't even tell you how impressed I was. In fact, for the first time in 42 years, he had a physical ailment. I won't get into the details, it's his own privacy, but for the first time ever, he didn't show up on stage for a significant portion of the time, but he came every single day at the end, including the final day in a wheelchair. Now for a superpower, a 6'7" guy who's built on strength and voice and stamina and excitement for 42 years to always show up on stage, you can only imagine how humbling it was for him to be wheeled out. He's going to be completely fine. It has to do with like blood levels. There's no big issue. Everything is fine. But I'm just talking about the ego, right? And the commitment to serve people, to show up in his weakened state, when his hospital and the doctor said, do not go on stage, you need to recover so you can be on stage in Germany 10 days later, he was like, no, screw that. These are my people, I have to go serve, and you'll wheel me out there, and I'll tell them, you know, as best as I can with as much energy as I can to keep going. That was amazing. So the first thing that really helped me understand what was guiding my life and what I wanted to change is what Tony calls the primary question. And this is something that you've developed over the course of your life through your trials and your tribulations, through parental love and non-parental love, just the things that have guided you. And it's interesting, it's such a deep-rooted primary question that you would think everyone has the same primary question, but in fact that's not true. Everyone thinks their primary question everyone else has, but I watch dozens if not hundreds of different primary questions. And the thing about the primary question is if it's not phrased properly, oftentimes it's limiting, it's giving you some negative belief system. So Tony's primary question also was my primary question, which is, how can I make things better? And as a serial entrepreneur, and you've watched some of my videos, I talk about this entrepreneurial lens and walk around, and in the hotel room, what could be better? And I walk into this hotel and what could be better here? And they could fix this and this could be better. And in my marriage, well, this isn't working, so how can I fix this? And with my kids, well, they didn't get this and they want that, and how can I fix this? So I would go through life saying, how can I make things better? And that's a great mindset, and I absolutely love it. I don't have a problem with it. But as Tony pointed out, there's a self-limiting belief in there in that it isn't good enough as is, and that it can be better. So you want to reframe that same question into a positive approach. Instead of saying, how can things be better, which is slightly negative, means everything needs to be improved, you want to express gratitude for how great things are, and yet how can I derive even more satisfaction by improving those things that need it. But at the same time, he gives us the tools to emotionally check in with one another and figure out what's important for us in our next journey. That's what worked for us for the last, in my case, 49 years. But what do I want to work for me for the next 49 years? And he gave us the framework and methodology to address the primary question and rewrite it, and through incantations and other mechanisms, instill that into us. And that's what I'll be living with for the next 49 years. So my new primary question is, how can I appreciate my life even more, live more joyfully, and contribute to others through growth of myself and others? Now, if you think about that, that's amazing. You know how much I value my time. You know how much I like to travel. You know how much I like adventure. And you also know how much I like to serve you and educate you and grow myself. So if that's my new primary question, I can still fix things, right? I can still make things better. I'm still trying to do growth and improvement. But now it comes from a place of optimism and from gratitude and joy and growth and educate others. And so I'm working on that as my new primary question. The second thing, and you've heard me talk about this a little bit, is that problems are not really problems. Problems are really just things that you didn't want to happen or that you didn't think needed to happen to you. And so you have to change your mindset and view them as a gift or an opportunity or a challenge. And I've been talking about this for years, but listening to Tony just reinforced it. And what he said, and I'm going to share this with you, is that leaders crush problems. Leaders crush problems. So right now, check in with yourself. Are you a leader who crushes problems? Or when problems present themselves, do you get derailed? Do you hide? Do you run away? Do you ignore them? What do you do? Because if you're a leader, you stand right up and you crush the problem. The third thing that he really delivered to me was that 3 things control your quality of life. And the first one is what you focus on, what you give importance to, what you feel, what emotions you're getting from that. And so what you focus on is going to dictate the quality of your life. So for instance, if you're always focusing on what's missing, and I've been in relationships where this is the case, maybe you have too, where it's oh, once my kids get into this school, I'll be happy, or once I get a vacation house, I'll be happy, or once this problem gets solved, I'll be happy, I get this job, I'll be happy. If you're always focusing on what's missing, you don't have everything, nor will you ever have anything. As wonderful as the world is, filled with abundance, you will never have everything. So if your perspective on life and what you focus on is what's missing, I have news for you. You're never going to be happy because you're always going to be missing something. But instead, if your mindset and what you focus on is what you have, how wonderful my life is. I have 3 healthy, gorgeous daughters, and I love them to death. And I have this, house that I just bought here in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and it's not my perfect dream house, and it's not great, and look at like the paint peeling, but I love it. It brings me joy and satisfaction. I walk out over that dune and I take a morning walk and then I swim in the ocean, and like, that's what I have. I'm not focused on what's missing or what needs to be done or how much it's going to cost or I'm just focused on what I have. My quality of life is higher. I'm expressing gratitude and appreciation for what I have. And if that mindset guides me, then what I focus on is happiness. So the second thing that controls your quality of life is whether you focus on the things that you can control or you obsess over the things that you can't control. Now, this resonated with me because oftentimes, and I think this happens to many people, we stress about the things that we can't control. You know, I just applied for that job, will I get the job? You did your best at that point in time. You can't really determine the outcome of that. How did I do on that test score? My kids are always obsessing. Oh my gosh, I hope my SAT scores. Like, study, control, focus on what you can control, which is the studying and the preparation for the exam. Give it your absolute best on the day of the exam, and then afterwards, there's nothing more to stress about because it's completely out of your control. Or maybe you've been in litigation, and so you're working with your lawyer and you're stressed about the outcome and what happens here and like, if you change your mindset so that you spend all your time and energy focusing on things that you can control, you can change the outcome, you can affect the outcome, you're going to be happier because you are empowering yourself and you're driving the needle forward and you're moving towards your goals and you're controlling your life, as opposed to spending all this negative energy obsessing and stagnating and ruminating about things that you can't control. They're entirely out of your control. So why even spend 1 iota of a millisecond thinking about it? And the third thing, and this really hit home for me too, was whether you're focusing on the past, the present, here and now, or the future. So too often, many of us focus on the past. You know, life was really good when I was in high school. Life was really good when I was in college. Life was really good when I was married. Life was really good when I had that job. And you're like living through regret. I wish I still was in that same situation. So if you're living in the past and that's where you're focusing all your time and energy and those stories keep coming up, then you're definitely not present today, here and now, and you're certainly not like looking towards the future with any real goals or clarity. If you're focused on the present, that's better than the past, but you really need to start thinking about your future. Where's the roadmap? Where do I want to go? And then you take your time and energy and your focus on things that you can control to get you to that roadmap location, to that destination. So if I want to become a successful real estate investor, and I'm using short-term rentals, for example, to become that, well, what do I need to do? 10 years out the road, I want to have 20 different locations in a well-diversified portfolio. If I'm focused on the past, I'll never get there. If I'm focused on the present, I will scale very slowly and organically, probably based on fear and worried about things that I can't control. If I'm focused on the future and where I want to go, and I have a game plan and an action plan, and all of my actions on a daily basis are towards growth and education and development and taking risks and enabling myself to get there, friends, what's going to happen? We all know you're going to get there. So focus on the future, enjoy the present, be very filled with appreciation and gratitude for the present, but focus on the future. Create a news story. Another concept that I thought was really helpful was to blame effectively. We've all had things that have occurred to us in our life that we couldn't control, or maybe it was our fault, it doesn't really matter. But we've blamed those circumstances as life changes, and we generally blame in a negative fashion. You know, I got fired and my life changed. The stock market crashed and my life changed. I got divorced and my life changed. And my life was better when it was before that, right? And that may well be true, and that might be a true sentiment, but you're living in the past and you're blaming and being a victim. So what Tony encourages us to do is to find something that was positively attributed to that problem and then blame effectively. So if you're going to blame your life change due to being fired, which may have well changed your life, that's fine, but saying, being fired changed my life, but I'm going to blame effectively, and it also made me a stronger person, more entrepreneurial, more resilient, more sure that I could go do this. It also enabled me to open up this door, and while I'm at a very early stage at the short-term rental market, I'm now a short-term rental entrepreneur, and so blame effectively. Yes, I got fired, it sucked, I'm not happy about it, I wish it didn't happen. However, it made me the person I am now, and it embarked on this new journey, this new career, this new story. So anything that you're blaming, stop being the victim, find power and strength in it, and enable a new news story and blame effectively by also attributing something powerful and positive to it. And here's the last thing I want to leave you with. There was 6 full days from 9 in the morning until 2 in the morning, so you can imagine that there was millions of nuggets of information and knowledge bombs, but this one I thought was really helpful. Unhappiness comes from your reality not meeting your expectations. Let's just think that through for 1 second. Expectations, what are they? You believe you've worked this hard and so you should have this. You believe that you graduated this college and you should have this. You look at your Instagram friends and they're traveling all over the world and they're posting these photos and you believe you should have that. Those are expectations. Have no expectations. 0 expectations. They're not healthy. You can have goals, you can have desires, you can have a news story and a roadmap of where you want to go, but don't have expectations. Expectations in and of themselves, like jealousy, they're negative emotions, negative energy. So if you get rid of those expectations or you readjust them and say, you know, I expect 4 years out of school, I should have a job and I should be starting to save and I should have a 401k, that's fine. Versus 4 years out of college, I think I should be a millionaire. Guess what? You're going to be unhappy. So what you need to do is understand what your reality is, be appreciative of your current reality, have future goals, but not expectations, and you'll be happy. And what was interesting is the worst part is when it becomes suffering. So that's when your expectations don't meet your reality and you think it's permanent and personal, like it'll never change. You will always be underperforming your expectations, and that's when people go into misery and suffering and real pain. So the easiest thing to do about it is change your mindset, be very grateful for what you have in your current reality, remove expectations and instead set goals and focus on your new story. All right, friends, this has been probably one of the longest videos we've ever made, but there was so much wisdom, and I thank Tony from the bottom of my heart. He's really helped me address a lot of the things that I've been working through. I'm super pumped and optimistic about the future. I've got my roadmap. I've got my new primary question. If you think he could be helpful for you, please go check him out. If you think I can help you in any capacity, I've got a great thing happening at STRU Live in Nashville in August, so go ahead and click the link above. And in the meantime, please do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's go, friends. Life is great. Yes!